Hello, welcome back. Tactical Tuesday with Johnny Tiger on Tuesday, September 12th, 2023. A lot of us, whether watching wrestling, football, MMA, UFC, etc., become very familiar with a certain set of movement. For example, the roundhouse kick, the jab and the cross and the hook. All these pretty much, as soon as I mention the name, you guys know, you get an idea in your head. And the dangerous part of this is people who are not training can also get familiarized with these, and they think that because they see it all the time, they know how to do. For example, the move we're going to talk about today is a standard backhanded clothesline that you see a lot on TV, and a lot of people think they know how to do a clothesline. You just go to the side of the person, stick your arm out, and bang into the person, or let the person run into your arm. Or you stick your arm out to the side. That's it. That's a clothesline. Right? You see it in fighting games, you see it in video games, you see it in computer games, you see it on TV, you see it everywhere. But there's a lot more to doing a good backhand or a good clothesline. And this is one of the more, I would say it's one of my personal specialties. Uh, Back hammer fist, spinning hammer fist, clothesline, whip hand, these things I'm particularly good at. So today I'm going to give you guys a crash course on how to do this because a lot of people don't realize is if you think you know how to throw a good clothesline or backhand, and then if you don't and you mess up and you just walk into it thinking that you can fight someone doing this, bang, you're going to mess up your own arm, elbow joints, shoulder joints, all kind of stuff, right? Primarily, have you ever thought about how crazy it would be really to try to get this kind of motion, this big arm movement from the side, bang, to connect, really, in a fight, in a street fight? You'll never, almost never get this to work because most of the time when people are fighting, the arms are in front of them, right? So if you go in for this big clothesline kind of movement and then you hit the person on the elbow, ah, you just broke your arm. You just broke your own arm. If you go in for this big clothesline movement and you hit a person on the hip bone or the shoulder or the forehead, most likely you shatter your own body parts, right? So it's not as simple as you think it is. You don't just whip this out there. Even if you make a solid contact to the torso, even if you make that solid contact, if you don't have the right form, most likely you are either going to hyperextend your elbow or tear all the muscle groups here in your bicep, your deltoid. You're going to tear something. Because the fact of it is, when you have your arm out to the side like this, and you whip it forward with a lot of force, or the person's charging towards you with a lot of force, your arm has no support behind it. So all the impact on your arm is going to pull right on the shoulder joints here if you do it the wrong way. Right? So how do we navigate that? How do we prevent injuring ourselves when we think we're going to go for this cool big backhand or clothesline kind of motion? How do we get this to work? First is to understand body mechanics. So, like I said, when you whip this out there, all the pressure tend to go right into your shoulder and go back away from the target. So you impact and you stress your shoulder, and the impact go bounce away from the target. That is bad. Okay, that is bad. So we want to minimize that by changing the angle of our strike. If you want to throw a proper clothesline or backhand, you do not ever want to throw straight across. Right? It's not a helicopter propeller. You don't go straight across like this. Okay, there's two choices. You either throw this at an upward angle, so from down to up. Because when you throw it up, then the pressure will go down into your lats. Okay, there's way more support for that. Or you throw it downward, throw it downward. Okay, you throw it from top and drop down towards the belly button, like that. Right? Again, in this case, because you're aiming this down towards their body, and indirectly you're directing your force towards the ground. Okay, so there's nowhere for their body to go. All the force go into them, into the ground, rather than bouncing off them. Right? So that is number one. Don't strike straight across. You're going to mess up. Right? Either go up or go down. Number two is when you strike, you always want to try to aim for the back of your arm, the back of your forearm. So not the top part. Right? You don't strike with the front part of your forearm, even though that is intuitive. A lot of people will go boom like this with the forearm, boom, straight across like that. Right? Again, look at your arm. If you strike with the front of your forearm, that will hyperextend your elbow. That will stretch your elbow out. So what you want to do is have that natural flex and bend in your elbow when you throw out this backhand or clothesline. If you watch me, my arm is not stiff when I start my movement. I only straighten and stiffen my arm on impact like this. Right? Think of your arm like a whip, not like a baseball bat. Baseball bat don't have elbows. Elbows get broken. Okay? So when you strike, don't hit with the top part of your forearm. Hit with the back. Okay? Backhand, backhand, right? Back, 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 like that. Right? There are a lot more other advanced way of uh, turning your arm on contact and cutting in with your arm and all that stuff. But we'll get to that eventually. For now, just know don't throw straight across and don't make contact with the front of your arm. Right? And always try to stay as relaxed as you can until you make contact. Okay? Make contact. Okay? And no, you do not hit with the back of your hand. Okay, you always want to use your forearm. Back of your hand, no good. Okay, here, not here. If you hit with the back of your hand, you will mess up your wrist because the moment you hit, this will bend your wrist in towards your arm, and you will mess up your wrist. Right? Now, a lot of people may say, so this is a kind of a silly move because you need a lot of momentum to swing, to swing, right? Well, that is in the beginning, yes. But once you get a grip on short distance force generation, like what I talked about in the previous episode when I talked about the 1 inch punch, 3 inch punch, then you don't need a lot of distance to get this to work. I can start from totally standing here, hand beside my leg or my pocket, and I can get this forearm strike to go in right into the rib. Huh? I can pair this with a little side step movement, and it's going to hit with the force of a baseball bat. Right? You go for the head, and go for the stomach or ribs. So no, it is not only good for big wide swing. That is what you see in WWF. That's for theatrical. But in real application, this can be a nice, short, vicious, nice, short, vicious movement. Thank you for checking out today's Tactical Tuesday. We'll be back again tomorrow for some Wisdom Wednesday. For now, have a good night.